So hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. Now today I want to talk about books, and I want to talk about Booktok because in recent memory books have become a lot more popular. Booktok has absolutely exploded, and both of these things are just more mainstream, more commonplace, and just more popular to talk about, especially on YouTube. Now I for one certainly really enjoy these videos. Any video that is about books, about book tropes, general discussions about the community, author space communities, reviewer space communities. I enjoy all of these, man. I eat this up for breakfast. So right now I'm just going to be clicking through some videos that I thought were really interesting, made really good points. I would recommend all of these channels, all of these videos, because they're just all really worth your time. Now, where I think this trend on YouTube got really vapid and annoying is when books and book talk became the topic of discussion for these sort of lol cow kind of content farms. I'm pretty sure you know what kind of channel I'm talking about. It's the kind of channel that picks something to make fun of for about 15 to 30 minutes, and then they just kind of point and laugh at that thing for that video and then switch to something else for the next video. And most of these content creators made videos on book talk, and they focus mostly on how it's all full of smut and some of the weird controversies to come out of that online space. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to say that they're bad YouTubers or they're bad people for making videos like this, and I'm not trying to gatekeep, but I think the message hits a little bit different depending on who the messenger is. It seems pretty obvious to me that they don't have a vested interest in books or writing. They don't really have a vested interest in the art form. They don't really have much of an interest in the community. Their videos are not about storytelling or movies or cinematography or anything of that nature, right? So it really feels like, to me, like, why are you talking, bro? You have no dog in this fight. You have no horse in this race, okay? It really feels like you're just making fun of my little sibling. Okay, I know how weird my little sibling is. I know how cringe my little sibling can be. I know how creepy my little sibling can be. I know how thirsty they can be. I know they make people really uncomfortable. But I get to make fun of my little sibling. And me and my friends get to make fun of my little sibling. You don't even hang out with them. So that brings me back to my point, where everyone wants to yap about book talk, but no one wants to do anything about it. So I did. This is my book. It's called A Court of Queens. So this is technically an ad, and you can't skip it, but I promise I won't yap about this too much. Basically, I wanted to prove to myself and prove to other people that you can write the prototypical book talk romantasy book without sacrificing all of the things that you would expect out of any other fantasy. I don't think it has to be one or the other between romantasy and good characters, good world building, and a solid magic system. Alright, we can have both. We don't have to choose. I also noticed that a lot of book talk style romantasy books were folklore retellings or fairy tale retellings, but there's maybe a switch of perspective. It's in a different time era, it's sci-fi, it's sapphic, something along those lines, right? And that's all well and good, but I just think that a lot of those books, those IPs, thought really inside the box. I thought, why not take multiple folklore stories and tell them all at the same time? Why not take the story of the genie and the three wishes, the Little Mermaid, Cinderella, Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, and put them all into one world? Let their stories bounce off of each other, play off of each other. And that is the idea that inspired A Court of Queens. So if that sounds cool to you, there's going to be a link in the description, but I want to keep this as a very general book discussion. So I want to talk about some things, some themes that are pretty consistent in a lot of book talk, romantasy style books that I think we're all getting a little sick of. Now, these are things that I've noticed, things that other people have sort of pointed out for me. Now, the first one up on that list has got to be the edgy shadow boy. Now, I don't know who coined this term. I'm quoting Don't Fret Books, but this is the kind of male love interest who's just the fucking worst. You know, they're toxic, they're abusive, they're manipulative. They're tall, dark, and handsome, but they're white with black hair because that's what tall, dark, and handsome means. Now, this kind of character is awful, but all of their poor traits, all of their misdeeds are excused by the fact that, oh, they have like a very dark and tortured backstory. Something like that. Now, that pisses me off for a lot of reasons. For one, that is just awful character writing. But I know people in real life, and I don't want to get too personal, but I know people in real life that have had horrible things happen to them, have had horrible things happen to people that they care about, right? But they came out on the other side being better people for it. They became better than the people that mistreated them and abused people that they care about. Right? They didn't let something bad happening to them inform the way they treated everyone for the rest of their life. That's why they're my fucking boys. Because they have good character, because they're good people. And personally, I think it is more fun and also more realistic to just write a male character or a romantic interest, either one, that is just a chill Chad, that is just a cool guy, the kind of guy that you want to hang out with, crack open a beer with, watch the game with. I really don't understand. I'm honestly kind of beside myself to understand what the appeal of these edgy shadow boys are. Like, if I heard one of my friends talking to his girlfriend on the phone, the way these edgy shadow boys talk, all like, oh, I own you, you're mine, you're nothing without me, yada yada this. Dude, I would be fucking sick to my stomach. I would actually be repulsed, man. I would feel like I am owed compensation for having to fucking hear that. Because that is honestly just kind of pathetic. That is just bitch made. To me, that is like if a guy got his heart broken in the 2nd grade, and for the rest of his life, he did nothing but post memes on Facebook about how dangerous and loyal he is, and how if anyone touched or anyone crossed him, that he would salt the fields and burn the crops and laid siege on the land and all this bullshit. It's like, dude, you're a fucking cornball, man. No one is taking you seriously but you. You're embarrassing the fuck out of yourself. You're an actual weirdo. So the edgy shadow boy, I think, has got to go. I don't really see the appeal. I'm really not a fan. It kind of just creeps me out. It kind of just grosses me out, to be honest with you. Alright, next up on things that absolutely have to go has got to be magic systems that make zero sense. Or the only part of the magic system, the world building, the prophecy, that makes any sense is the part that relates to the romance or the erotica in the novel. Right? It is so obvious. It's a little bit too obvious sometimes when the only thing the author really thought out is the mating or the Fae love orgy. And everything else around there is just a complete fucking afterthought. Right? And I understand why these, spicy novels are appealing. I wasn't born yesterday. I get it. And I never want to begrudge the audience for what they enjoy. At the end of the day, they're just someone who wants to sit down after, a long day and just enjoy something. And I really cannot get mad at that. But I will get mad and I will begrudge authors for clearly just not trying, for clearly phoning it in, for clearly just doing their job poorly. Look, if some of these authors could just not be straight edging, could just not be straight gooning while they're world building, their stories would stand up to a little bit more scrutiny. It could be put under a microscope and it would still hold water. If you could just write with two hands half of the time, your book will make sense about half of the time. I feel like that's not asking for too much. I feel like when the magic system in the world is built in a way where its only sole focus is to make the erotica, to make the romance make sense, it actually takes away from that romance. It actually takes away from that erotica, in my eyes, at least. I think the more concrete the world is, the better the stories inside that world are going to be. And that includes the romantic stories. So really, I just want Booktok romantasy authors to just work a little harder, to just try a little harder. That's really all I'm saying. Because I feel like otherwise, it's disrespectful to yourself. It's disrespectful to your publisher, to your fans, to your audience, to the art form. Being an author seems like such a cool job. You just make things up for a living and write them down. That sounds awesome. But I think too often it is very obvious where they put their effort and where they did not put their effort. Where they did multiple edits and where they did not do multiple edits. So that's all I have to say about that. So this book and this video are honestly just a love letter to the creators that make 10-hour long yap sessions on, books, on book tropes, on things that they want to see in books, things that they don't want to see in books, all that good stuff. I love those videos. I watch hours and hours and hours of those videos. When I'm having a really bad writer's block, or I'm just really burnt out for the day, that's the kind of thing I will throw on and listen to. It rejuvenates me. And I just want the people that make those kind of videos to know that someone's listening to you. Okay, someone's hearing you. Someone is smelling the ingredients that you want to taste, and they're cooking. They've been cooking, and I cooked this up just for you. And I hope you enjoy it, because you entertain me so much. You give me hours of entertainment. I want to give you at least something back. I want to entertain you back. So this is for you, and I hope you like it. It's called A Court of Queens. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. If you want to see more of this stuff, subscribe, ring that bell icon. And I can't really promise that too much of my content is going to be specifically book and writing focused, but I can just promise that it's going to be more. So thank you so much. Hope you want to stick along for the long... What the fuck was that, nigga? Oh my god.